Hello, welcome to Chess Book Reviews 99. I should explain straight out that I've been having more problems with Zoom than I know what to do with. And as a result of this, I've had to start all over again, which is the third time this has happened. And it means that the membership has gone down to 0 from 7. And on the other channel, it's gone down, which was stood at 160, which I was very proud of, actually. As usual, I've just noticed how revolting my face looks. And that's muck there. Anyway, I've got a new book to show you. Here it is. The Unknown Fischer by Cyrus Lakdawala. Cyrus is an US international master who has written just so many books in the last 10 years. I don't know how many, perhaps as many as 50. I don't know. This is a book published by Everyman, and it retails at $19.99. I should say straight away that I haven't carried out, which I intended to do, a detailed analysis of the book. But my first, it's been brought out because Fischer would have been 80 this month, 23rd of March or something like that. Yes, he's been dead for 16 years, hasn't he, Bobby? He lived to be 64, the number of squares on the board. The book has 384 pages, and it's got all the games that he played against Gligorich in a match I didn't even know took place, a training match. All 10 of them. 2 games against Bronstein, 2 against his compatriot Bizgaya, 3 games against Mac Hack, and so on and so forth. Most of these games are little known. 2 against Tal. I shouldn't have thought those were very little known. 2 against Reshevsky and 2 against Petrosian. So it's all the fun of the fair. It is not really in doubt that Bobby Fischer is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, one of the greatest, if not the greatest chess player of all time. His name is recognized immediately by almost everyone with even a passing interest in chess. His many brilliant games are very well known, have been seen in numerous anthologies. However, Fischer also played many games that have generally escaped public attention. These include early games, blitz, simultaneous games, as well as many classical games that have fallen under the radar. There's also the match against Fetzal Gligorich before his famous rematch in 1992, wasn't it, with Boris Spassky. So there we are. It says this is a very instructive anthology. Of that alone, I'm in no doubt. The question is this the right way to look at the games of one of the greatest, if not the greatest players of all time? I think it is, but I don't think this is a mainstream book. I think it is for completists, those people who have got, as I have, a lot of books about Bobby and would welcome another one. And I do welcome this book, and I was looking forward to it coming. And I'm not disappointed, but I am a little surprised that there are so many games in it which, well, were played a very, very long time. Not recognizing the name, I looked up Fischer's opponent from the US Junior and read a post from his daughter who reveals that Grossguth tragically committed suicide in 1962 at the age of 26. No explanation is given. So there's an example. A game against Ullman. When it came to his openings, Bobby was that old RCA Records dog. Now, I haven't the faintest idea what that means. So I don't think that's to the credit of the publishers that Cyrus puts in a reference which can't be understood. RCA Records dog, if faithfully followed his master's voice. In the database, only see 6 games where Fischer deviated and played the Benoni. He scored an astonishing 5 wins and a lone draw against Portish. And he asks, why didn't he play it more often? Well, that's a very worthwhile thing to ask, and an interesting and relevant comment. But on the other hand, I don't know what that RCA means. Here is Fischer playing against Reshevsky, the game he was late to. Reshevsky played the Smyslov system with 9H6 in the Lopez. Now, here's a comment. By 1967, the vast majority of non-GMs were unable to compete with Fischer. What he actually means is, at least in my language, well, I unable to keep pace with Bobby. It doesn't say that. It says, by 1967, the vast majority of non-GMs were unable to compete with Fischer. That sounds like they weren't invited or they didn't want to play him. I can assure you they did want to play him. Cyrus knows that. Here is a game against James T. Sherwin, who is still alive, age 90. I think recently had a birthday. And still competing in England. Another game against Bizkaia. Bobby's game against Kolmov, or Holmov, as Stuart Knox would prefer me to pronounce it. And one thing is for certain, Stuart Knox is not watching. Game against Sydney Bernstein. This is the immortal I refuse to bring my pieces out game, where Bobby violates the laws of physics by refusing to develop his entire queenside, then wins the game anyway. This is against Elo himself. It always amuses me when you see people say ELO. Elo was a person, and there he was playing Fischer. Quote from Charles Manson. He meant no harm, declared Mrs. Manson, the mother of Charles. No idea what that means. More jocular whimsy. A long passage from Canadian Chess Chat about Bobby's game 4 against Larson from the candidates. Poor Larson. He said he could hardly breathe during the match. And Bobby, every single game, had been out playing tennis. A King's Gambit game against Minich with the King's Bishop Gambit. Let's show you that. Bishop c4, 3 bishop c4. Bobby had a penchant for many of these 19th century choices. He went away and did his own work, didn't he? No one shared in that, let me assure you, until it was either too late or on the board itself. Bobby on the attack. Chapter 2. Game against Palbenko. Bobby at Blitz. Yes, he plays in a number of Blitz tournaments. Hort playing the Torre attack. Against Smyslov, which was of itself an education, I'm sure. The Blitz tournament of 1970, that enormous tournament which Bobby won. So we're playing against Bronstein. Right, well, we've covered a lot of ground. As you can tell, I quite like this book. But as I say, there are much, much better books. It's strange, actually, that the bibliography is so small. It only quotes a couple of books. Fischer, Move by Cyrus, which I haven't got. And The Unknown Capablanca. Well, obviously, I've got that. He doesn't even mention 60 Memorable Games or any of the spin-off books. Recent one by Donaldson, for example, isn't mentioned. So there we are, mixed bag, but not something I think you should miss. Thank you for watching.